1, 2, check 1, 2. Lesson 93, Comparative Graphs. All right, what you need to know for this lesson before you come to school tomorrow is the definition of a comparative graph. It is a graph that can be used to display two or more sets of related data. So in example 1, it says the average daily high temperatures in January and July for 5 cities is displayed in the comparative vertical bar graph below. Okay, notice that this graph has a title, Average Daily High Temperatures. It has a label on this side. You can tell it's in temperature Fahrenheit. The units or measurements or on this side, the scale that it goes up is a even number, 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, okay? It doesn't go random numbers. It goes in a steady pattern, okay? You can tell there's a little key here. The light one is January and the dark one is July. On the bottom, it has those 5 cities that it said. So we're going to use this graph that is comparing January and July in all of these cities to answer these questions. A, in which city was the average July temperature the highest? So we say, okay, July is the dark one. And in which city is it the highest? So the tallest graph. We see that the answer is Rome, Italy. Oops, I-T-A-L-Y. Question B. In which city was the average January high temperature lowest? So we're going to look at January, which is the light colored one, the lowest temperature. That'd be the shortest line. So that is Paris, France. Or, yep. C. Which city had the smallest range between these temperatures? And do you know why? So we are looking for the smallest difference between the two bars. So this difference is pretty big. This difference is small. This difference is not that big. This difference is big, and this difference is big. So the smallest range between these two temperatures was Caracas. I don't know how to say that. Caracus, because if they give you the spelling, it is very important that you spell it correctly. Venezuela, Venezuela. And how do you know why? Well, that would be probably because of Venezuela. If it's that warm in January and that warm in July, my guess is that it's probably somewhere like in an area of the globe that isn't going to be too close to the equator but not too far away from the equator, so that they kind of have the same temperature all year long. In question D, for which city is the average January high temperature greater than the average July temperature? High July temperature. So we're looking for one that the January, which is this light gray one, is greater than the black one. So we're looking for one that the gray is taller than the black. Do you see one that the gray is taller than the black? I do. Sydney, Australia. S-Y-D-N-E-Y, Australia. A-U-S-T-R-A-L-I-A. And then it says, do you know why? No, I don't. But I can tell you, Australia is warmer in January than July because in the south of the equator, January is summer and July is winter. That makes sense because the tilt of the earth. Oh yeah. Example 2. We can use this is a different kind of comparative graph. It's called a double line graph. We can use a double line graph to show how two or more things change in relation to one another. For example, the double line graph below shows the change in population of the cities of Austin and Pittsburgh from 1950 to 2000. The legend or key right here at the right tells which line belongs to which city. So you always have to have this legend is telling you the colors, and this legend is telling you the color of the dots, okay? And notice, there is no title, which is interesting, but this would be comparing Austin and Pittsburgh's population from this year to this year. So we can come up with a title even if it doesn't tell us. You look at what it is, so it's a line graph comparing population from this year to this year in these two cities. Okay, so that's some graph information that you'll need to know. Letter A, or question A, approximately what was Austin's population in 1970? So Austin is the one with the filled in dots, in 1970 is here. So we follow this line up to the one with the filled dots, go over, we see that it's between 200,000 and 300,000, and it looks like it's right in the middle there. So it's gonna be 250,000 people. Right? Population is the number of people, so we know that the unit is people. B, approximately how much did Pittsburgh's population decrease between 1950 and 2000? So we're looking at Pittsburgh, which is the circles that are not filled in, and the population decreased between 1950 and 2000. So, so Pittsburgh is up here. So it started at 700,000. And it went down to about 350,000, I would say. So how much is that decrease? You're going to have to do a subtraction problem. 0, 0, 0, 0, 69. And then so 9 minus 5 is 4. And then 6 minus 3 is 3. So about 340,000 or 350,000. It's a lot of hundreds of thousand people. 100,000, I mean. So if your guesstimation isn't exactly right, if this was a multiple choice question, you would just look and see which one is closest to the answer that you gave. All right. And then for lesson practice, I have this table right here. And you are going to have to listen to the directions to see what you do for lesson practice. It says, Brady, Caitlin, Andrew, and Jonathan each wrote 2 stories. The number of paragraphs per story is shown here. So these are the paragraphs that were in the stories. So Jonathan's a great writer. He wrote a ton of paragraphs. Caitlin, she maybe could have written a little bit more. Andrew was upper average, and Brady was upper average with 8 is good. So here are your directions. Make a comparative horizontal bar graph to show the scores. There should be 2 bars for each student. Okay, so you're going to have to make a comparative horizontal bar graph. So this is a bar graph, but this is vertical, right? Vertical. You're going to do one that goes horizontal. You're going to need to make sure you have a key, a title. Your units are going to need to go up in equal increments, and you're going to need a name for each of the bars. So actually, since it's going to be horizontal, your names are going to be on this side, and going down here is going to be the number of paragraphs, okay? So I hope that you maybe can make a little bit of fun having that graph, or have a little bit of fun making that graph, I should say, and I will see you tomorrow.